Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another modelling video. I'm doing my, I think, third video on the Gunpla Builders World Cup entry, my big diorama. And I had a bit of creator's block, some personal agendas needed a little bit of attention. A lot of work related stuff, but that's all out of the way, and I'm 100% immersed in the build, which I'm very happy. And in the last week I have got so much done, and the week before that I got little extra bits and pieces. So I hope the other content since Model Expo I've posted up of the two 3D printed models has tied you guys over. The Q&A video was very easy, and I've got a video honing your airbrush skills in this very camera, ready to be edited. But first I want to talk about my Zamel inspired build. It is completely finished, or the building state of it is completely finished, and it's in all the pieces ready for painting or priming, and a lot of it has been engineered out of 3D printed parts, as you know, metal parts, putty. It's got the Zamel treatment with green stuff, and I'm going to demonstrate putting it together live as I'm talking, which is a bit tricky, but as you guys know, I will handle it. Though in the end it's two high-grade kits smashed together and a lot of magnets, and the magnets really makes it extremely easy to stick all the pieces together, give it articulation, give it form, and it's able to hold itself together. So what I did first was, as you've seen, I put it together. I made just a basic skeleton form and just kept adding magnets and bulk, and once all of that was all bulked out, I had all that rolled metal together, it just went to detailing and putting it all together, giving it further detail and bulkiness, and just fleshing it out into a whole model. With some of the detailing, the majority of the surface is Zamel, and it's just laying down green stuff, putty, and running the knife over it for detail. Afterwards I pulled apart this M2 A2 kit, which I built a while ago. It was terrible, but it came with tons and tons of tiny parts, and I was able to, this very basic 3D printed cannon, just sprinkled detail all across it in a manner that just more or less made sense to me. And just out of any bits box, any parts, whatever I could rope together, lots and lots of pla plating, finally got this guy together. The face, or the helmet, was just completely ground down and rebuilt up from putty to look like an exact replica of the Zamel Gundam itself. So it's the most recognizable part of the kit, you know, the neck piece, which I decided to keep its color separation. I just bulked it out with something that resembles hydraulics cover or rubber or some sort of very heavy leather, and it just came out absolutely perfect. Can't be any more happy. Once all of the putty work was done and I could see what was the plain areas lacking detail, I slowly cut up styrene. I cut up the pieces from the tank, because sometimes it'd be too big or too small and it just wouldn't quite fit, so you'd need to flatten it so it can glue absolutely flat to the model, and then super glue it depending if it's a 3D printed part or a putty part, or you would have to super glue it, plastic cement it. It just all depends. And as you can see, it does have a bit of a weight issue. I have it leaning forward most of the time, but I'm trying to keep things under 20 minutes. It does support itself okay enough. But as long as it doesn't get handled or moved around, it's just stuck in its one position on the base, it should stand okay in its diorama position. It once everything is at the front, because I'm putting all the metal bits at the back, it wants to lean back, but there's just so much bulk at the front. That's what sort of counterbalances and makes it lean forward. Now, another aspect that I have to be very, very mindful of is its transports, and being such a bulky and fragile piece, it's going to be broken down into many, many smaller pieces. As you can see, all the magnetized stuff, and individually each piece will be wrapped with bubble wrap and placed in the esky. You can see it's fallen again. Once everything's on it, it'll stop falling, and obviously with the painting process, it's going to have a few coats of clear just to prevent paint chipping, and definitely a very, very solid go of primer and etching solution on all of these metal bits. But there we go. He is in his position. All I have to do is assemble the arm. The arm, I think, is definitely came together quite nicely, and is done. Those magnets are definitely a blessing and a curse. When it falls over, it all pops off, but it just snaps together so easily for a quick setup on the day at the Gunpla Builders World Cup. Now, everything is together. This is just pretty much built, ready for painting, and it will all come apart as we've seen. I utilised a lot of these balls all over the place. You can see all the grey detail is everything stolen from the tank. A ton of the Gunpla Builders parts. There's a lot of plates and vents and all that sort of stuff. Zimmer it like crazy. A naval cannon from a ship aftermarket set. More of those balls, a little bit of reactive armour on the belt bit. Your chain, your thinner metal, thicker metal. Have a good look at the finished. It's almost like the helmet or the head is completely scratch built. And the claw, I've actually got a few questions regarding the claw, how the arm is very short, it can't bend over and pick things up. That wasn't really the intention. I was thinking, since this is a support unit for sieging or garrison purposes, in the event that it is fighting something melee or very close quarters and out of the reach even of the machine gun, it will have to defend itself. And I believe due to its massive size, that it's almost the size of two mobile suits standing on top of each other, its bulk and strength, if you hit anything via the head or torso with that claw, you can see it almost fell, it's definitely going to take things out of commission. You can see some detail under the arms, under the chest, and yeah, more or less the intention is once, or pretty much after today, because it's about 1 in the morning, I'm going to pull this apart tomorrow, get all the parts onto skewers, prime it, check if there needs to be any last minute sanding or cleanup, and we're going straight into painting. I've got about 5 weeks, so this guy is definitely safe, and we'll be talking about my other bits that I'm going to be working and be finished by next week. So this guy's going to slow down a bit, and I've got some other larger priorities, though there has been a ton of work modifying, scratch building, engineering. It's just such a relief that this, as the centerpiece of the whole build, is finished, and finished quite early, may I add. Now, 2 weeks ago, just as a mental refresher and just to get away from the rest of this big build, the Diorama and the Zamel like mobile suit, I sanded up, detailed and painted this big gun as a bit of a mental reliever. And just a bit of styrene plating and quite a bit of modifications from the tank, a lot of wheel cogs and just some finer optic detailing. Some builder parts, some vents. A lot of the parts are cleverly blended in, so they're pretty hard to tell what's part of the gun and what's added on. The top bit with the Zimmer, followed by lacquer painting, and just shaded the hell out of the metal, the rusting effects. Everything was freehand, no masking, which is interesting because this thing only comes apart in about 10 pieces. So I'm quite happy with this. The majority of my video honing your airbrush skills is actually revolved around shading and painting up this gun. Because it is a bit shiny, it's going to take another coat or two of matte flat with the rest of the Diorama when all of that's being painted. Very shortly, once more work's done on the Diorama. The Zaku, which is completely finished, just going to have a bit of detailing, nothing serious, about a day or two work, and that will start to be painted as well. Now the Diorama. It may not look like a lot's happened, but a lot has happened. I've got a massive shipment of 5-6 reels of 3D printed plastic. I'm going to try to utilize the last of the really cheap, nasty ABS that I've got that I don't like too much, although it's starting to print quite well, nicely, so who knows, it is a temperamental machine and material. But I spent about a couple of days just painting automotive primer, which I've got here. It's a very almost putty consistency primer for car. It's very cheap. I eventually just hand painted on the surface where there was all the seam lines and all the putty lines and whatnot. Sand, wait a day, paint, sand, wait a day, paint, sand, wait a day, until it actually looked like one uniformed, one built piece. And it's quite smooth. So the last layer is going to be finer sandpapers, just polishing it up to a very smooth surface, which looks smooth up here. A little closer, it's a tad rough. You can see the brush strokes. And then the outer walls for just general presentation is going to be done. At the back, I mostly focused on this area, the hard bit. There's a building that's absolutely bombed the hell out, and a wall that was all done, and you can actually see the bit of a wall is actually numbered, just to see where things go. It was all AutoCAD'd up, sliced into tiny proportions that the 3D printer could handle, printed out individually. Damaged, I use pliers and the Dremel to cut holes and rip it to pieces, because it was just a straight normal wall, and damaged the hell out of it for my own hand. And the same with the building. They were just all very basic geometric shapes, and I just let rip with pliers with the Dremel, and all the debris in the back was just some 3D printed 2mm thick sheets, just broken down and glued strategically to look like it's just been absolutely bombed down. So there wasn't anything fancy in the AutoCAD or designing of the buildings. They're just very basic shapes, and then I just got a little personal. Now obviously they're all tiny shapes all over the place, and they've got seams, so I used Milliput, which is this brand of putty. I bought a heap of it very cheap from England, from the source. You're looking at about $10 a stick, a couple of bucks for shipping. If you actually buy like 5 or 10 at a time, it works out to be so cheap, it's not funny. That blended all the pieces together. So that half of the bank's virtually done. I've got to work on a ruined building here, which will only take about a day or so, and this half, which will take a day or two. Once that's done, then the street areas and in the trench is just going to have basic debris. I've got like a heap of blocks lined up over there, and that's going to be chopped up, strategically placed, and I've got a very light putty that's going to, like a wood putty, that's going to fill in the streets, and there's going to be debris and rocks and sand PVA glued all over that, and this is this base done. So I predict this base will be 100% built, finished, primed, ready for painting by the end of this week, and that's the second biggest obstacle. So for this week, my major focus is going to be finishing this diorama ready for painting. Painting is literally only going to take a couple of days. So in conclusion, everything is looking very good. I'm quite happy of the appearance of the diorama. There is another 2 fully painted, fully finished Zakus that are going to fit in the scene. There's going to be another 2. That trench is going to be packed with mobile suits. But with about less than 5 weeks, I've got to paint everything up that you see here, finish everything that you see, maybe include 1 more Zaku, and remembering that I'm on holidays 2 weeks before I leave for Sydney, so that gives me an absolute ton of time, but I need to work very, very hard and very, very constantly. I'm only on half loading at work, so that gives me about 2-3 days a week to just hammer this hard, and then I've got just 2 weeks solid, and at that time everything will be done, and it's Zaku fucking fell. Everything's going to be done, and it's just going to be going down to painting, and painting pretty hard, but with freehanding everything in the airbrush, because I've got that whole machine gun done in 2 days. I suspect that the big Zamel beast is going to take like less than a week to do. Each Zaku is going to be 1 or 2 days. The diorama is going to be 1 or 2 days, and it's going to be painting in that 2-week window. So in this next 2-3 weeks is going to be just solid building, but realistically the back wall part of this diorama was just 2 half days of work, 1 day of work. I reckon in about a day I can get all the other complicated 3D printing, buildings printed, glued together, whatever, done, and the whole base done in another day. Once that's all done, sanded everything, I'm going in immediate work on that Zaku. I would like that Zaku done not this week but next week, and probably the next Zaku being worked on. Maybe a couple of layers of paint done on the Zamel bit, and we'll just see, you know, play just play as we go. More or less, thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, ton of work to do. I almost feel a bit overwhelmed, but wish me luck, and I'm gonna absolutely do my best. Catch you guys later.